There's a quiet lie, one that sounds responsible, even wise. If I just have a backup plan, I'll be safe. So we plan, we calculate, we build safety nets under our lives, hoping that if we fall, we won't hit the ground. But life doesn't test how well you planned for comfort. It tests how well you respond to collapse. My name is Grandpa T, and I've spent enough years watching people rise and fall to understand something most don't. It's not the fall that decides your future. It's what you have left after the first thing you depended on is gone. Let me ask you something. If everything you're relying on right now disappeared, your job, your savings, your opportunities, what would catch you? And more importantly, what catches you if that fails too? You see, people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they're comfortable with one plan, comfortable with one backup. They think, as long as I have a plan B, I'm responsible. But a single backup plan is like building a house with only one exit. It works until there's a fire. Imagine you're in a burning building. Smoke fills the room. You run toward your one exit, only to find it blocked. Now what? That's what most people's lives look like. They prepared for one failure, not for reality. Here's where the illusion breaks. The moment you use your backup plan, it stops being a backup. It becomes your new reality. And in that moment, you are no longer protected. You are exposed, because now you're standing on your last line of defense with nothing behind it. This is where panic begins. This is where people make desperate decisions, bad investments, toxic commitments, rushed choices, because they're no longer thinking clearly. They're reacting to the fear of having nothing left. So what's the answer? Do we create endless plans? Do we spend our lives preparing for every possible disaster? No, because that's not wise. That's fear wearing a mask of discipline. The answer is simple, but powerful. Your backup plan should have a backup plan. Not 10, not infinite, just 2. Think of it like carrying 2 bullets, not because you want trouble, but because you respect uncertainty. You fire one. You don't feel safe. You reload, because the goal is not to survive once. It's to stay ready continuously. Now here's something deeper. Most people aren't asking how much backup is enough. They're asking how much it will make them feel safe. But safety is not something you feel. It's something you maintain. You don't arrive at safety. You practice it. You reinforce it. You rebuild it. Every time it's tested. That's why 2 is enough, because it forces action without trapping you in endless preparation. Here's the mindset that changes everything. Whatever happens, you take action to always return to having 2 plans. Life takes one. You rebuild it. Life takes another. You rebuild again. You never walk around empty. You never assume the storm is over. You simply reload, because the strongest people are not the ones who never run out. They're the ones who never stays empty for long. Now, if you're starting to see your own life differently, that's not accidental. That's awareness. And awareness is where real change begins. So take a moment, hit that like button if this made you think. Subscribe if you're the kind of person who wants to be ready, not just hopeful. And in the comments, tell me honestly, what's your first backup plan and what's backing it up? Because thinking about it is the first step to building it. Let me tell you something most people don't realize. People don't break at their first failure. They break at their second. The first failure, they still have hope. They still have something to lean on. But the second one, that's different. That's when reality tells you you didn't prepare for this. And that's where people lose themselves, not because they're weak, but because they ran out of structure. So let's bring this down to reality. What does this actually look like? If your main plan is your job, your first backup might be another skill, something you can switch to, freelancing, side business, another industry. But your second backup, that's deeper. That's your survival layer, savings, strong relationships, a network that opens doors, the ability to learn quickly. These are not nice to have. These are what keep you standing when everything else falls. Here's the mistake people make. They build their first backup plan, and then they stop. They think, I'll deal with the rest later. But later is always when you're least prepared, because life doesn't schedule its challenges around your convenience. Now, let me give you the real secret. This isn't about plans. Not really. It's about who you become. If you become someone who knows how to rebuild, who knows how to adapt, who knows how to create opportunity from nothing, then it doesn't matter how many times life knocks you down. You will always find a way back, because your greatest backup plan is yourself. There's a certain kind of confidence that doesn't come from success. It comes from knowing you'll be okay, even if everything goes wrong. That confidence is quiet. It doesn't brag. It doesn't panic. It simply prepares and moves forward. So when you ask, how much backup plan is enough? You're really asking, how much uncertainty can I handle? And the answer is not found in more plans, but in a better system. Use one backup plan, rebuild it. Lose both backup plan, rebuild both. Never stay empty, because life will test you, not once, not twice, but repeatedly, in ways you can't predict. And in those moments, you won't rise to your hopes. You'll fall to your preparation. So prepare wisely, not endlessly, but deliberately. Always have two, and every time one is taken from you, you quietly, patiently build it back. This is Grandpa T reminding you that survival is not luck. It's in your habits,